Updating SRR National News, I'm Philip Hong. Water faucets at the Newmarket Courthouse are shut off following fears of lead in the supply. 2 pedestrians were struck by cars in York Region on the same day, and police are worried about the well-being of a mother and newborn in Mississauga. Rain in the forecast, +4. This update is brought to you by Frank Cotolo at 148.ca. Jokes and narcissism, Frank on personality at 148.ca/Frank. I'm Philip Hong from SRR National News. Now here's Ray, Mike, and Rod with North American Harness Update on 21st Anniversary SRN1.
The starter has called the field to the gate. This field is in motion and approaching the start. And they're off. And it's a battle into the first turn for control. The battle continues by the half and approaching the far turn. Stride for stride past the 3/4 pole and approaching the top of the stretch. And as they hit the top of the stretch, it's mission brief. Foiled again, Muscle Hill, Captain Treacherous, and Vegas Vacation. Lucky Jim, a rock and roll dance. Be a magician. Sebastian K approaches the line. Guccio is coming late, and as they hit the wire, it's too close to call.
Now here's North American Harness Update on SRN1.
You know, it's nights like these I'm reminded of an old proverb that the ancients, and also my father, and my ancient's father, and my father's ancient, he would not like me hearing to say that, but I'm reminded of a proverb. It's about a man who yearns to sit before realizing that, lo and behold, he's already positioned on top of his throne inside of his humble abode before, in that very moment, croaks. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, this man was a frog. What does that have to do about tonight's show, you ask? Well, to be quite frank, aren't we all, deep down inside, just ribbiting people? I can't believe I set myself up for that one. I, at least, am a riveting person. Ray Cotolo, of course, back here in the North American Harness Update studios to bring another edition of harness racing excitement that is only rivaled by football, baseball, soccer, hockey, rugby, curling, brooming, vacuuming, washing the dishes, watching your wife wash the dishes, watching your husband wash the dishes, kids playing in a playground, your kids playing in a playground, a bag flying through the breeze, videotaping a bag flying through the breeze. I could keep on going with how many other sports rival harness racing, but that would just be very counterintuitive and counterproductive to what we are trying to do here on this show. And I do mean we, because it's not just me, believe it or not. We're going to flip that M upside down. Me turns into we is now Mike Pribozie, Rod Allums Jr. joining us on the show and not the program. We are not a program because we never know what exactly is going to happen on this show. We'll be talking about the London Pick 4 one moment, and the next moment we won't be. Are we expecting to? Who knows? But that will definitely be an early talking point. But first things first, Mike, Rod, how are you gents doing?
Alive. So I want to know, is this goatee your November thing? Or is this like a permanent fixture? What's going on here?
So, Mike, a man reaches a point in his life where he has to... A man reaches a point in his life where he has to demonstrate the sophistication that he has been dealt and taught and now learned. And he does that.
It's definitely making you look older, I have to say.
Really? I thought it was the months of stress and other things.
Please. You don't know what stress is.
Let's keep it that way. The goatee, or it's not, in my household we call it a Dick Van Dyke. The Dick Van Dyke is actually going to be leaving as of tomorrow because for my...
I would keep it. I think you need to keep it.
Well, here's the problem. So for those of you listening and also watching this show on the internet, and if you're watching it anywhere else, especially outside my window, I will call for help. Next week, I am out of town, and that's because I am doing a show where all of us male cast members are gonna have mustaches. So I gotta shave the bottom part, just to fit in. It's a gimmick.
It's gonna take you 3 months to grow it back.
3 months. This took me 1 month to grow.
No, that's way more than a month.
It's way less than a month. It's 3 weeks to be exact.
Since the Hambletonian,
We need to go back to prior videos and look at this to judge the growth.
Everyone watching in the audience tonight. Everyone.
When was our show for the what was it? The Breeders' Crown. You had a couple hairs then. I think I saw.
Well, you forget that I shaved after that.
I don't know.
You see, everyone watching the show tonight, I want you to dig deep into my personal life and find every little whisker that is sprouted out of these cheekbones and report back to me what you have found, and also my blood type, because I have forgotten it, my doctor doesn't know, and hopefully someone else can dig it up for me. I appreciate you guys liking the effort, though. It's too itchy for me, though. It's a scrunchy. It's a scrunchy fixture, which I think should be the new name for beards. All beards should now be called scrunchy fixtures, and I'm gonna start a petition for that. And you two are going to sign it, because you have to stand in solidarity, or else it looks like we're gonna break up, and we don't want to be the Beatles. We don't want to be the Beatles. And once again, I have left them speechless. I was wondering how long I could take that, and the answer is, as usual, not long enough. Tonight on the show, I'm going to look away from the camera, then look back at the camera, while also talking to everyone listening on the radio around the world, and also in this country, as if this country's not on the world. First things first, per usual in these more relaxed winter shows, we will be delving into the late pick 4 from the Raceway at Western Fair District, also known as London, also known as Western Fair Raceway, also known as just pick one name to go by. It's a $5,000 guaranteed pool. Race 7 kicks it off, and that will be coming up in approximately 12 or 15 minutes, so we'll be going immediately into that. Following that,
there is a new name for the late pick 4 on Friday nights at Western Fair.
Oh, yeah, and what is that name? Rodney Allums Jr., who's also my co-host.
The name for the new name for the late pick 4 every Friday night at Western Fair is the Nahoo pick 4.
And the best part is we didn't have to pay for the rights to it. It is just well, not Nahoo, of course, as you know, is a trademarked name and also sound, rivaled only by a hit email organization turned news outlet. I didn't think Yahoo could go any lower, but the Nahoo late pick 4 from the race at Western Fair District will be the first course of action for tonight. Later in the show, we'll have Russ Adams from Rosecroft Raceway calling in. He's going to join us in previewing what I believe is the final stakes race of the season, but the stakes calendar always finds some way to sneak one more race in. I think this is the very last one, and then we don't have to worry about steaks anymore. No more T-bones, no more ham on rye, no more what other kind of steaks you get. The steaks from now on will be rare. No medium rares, no well-dones. It's just going to be out of the consciousness. We're going back to overnight racing. But the Potomac Pace, what I believe is the last stakes race of 2018, is at Rosecroft Raceway on Sunday, December 2nd. Field of 8 going posted for that one. We will be handicapping and talking about it with Russ Adams. And then to end things off, Russ will be joining us to discuss and preview and analyze the late pick 4 from the Meadowlands for tomorrow. Tomorrow being Saturday, December 1st. It's a $50,000 guaranteed pool. Judges' inquiry down for the 6th race at London. I was hoping that would buy us a little bit more time. So let's just jump straight into it. The 7th race starts off this pick 4 sequence. It's a condition claimer, if I'm not mistaken. I am definitely not. I rarely am, because I'm just always right. Horses and Geldings, $15,000 tag for numbers of 10,000 lifetime. It's a $5,000 purse. 8 horses going postward. Mike, to start things off, 3 deep for you.
Yeah, and I think this is a fairly decent sequence. And I might think it's a little bit cheap, but I think it's probably going to pay more than, it should be okay. So 3 deep to start. The 1 is scratched, by the way, in the first. So I'm going to try the 2 inside ones. The 2 Vibers, Hanover. This horse broke, had an equipment break last time. Just throw that race out. Prior to that, 1 4 back at Leamington, and then 2/3, all on off tracks. So gets a fast track tonight. Draws inside. This horse has been racing well enough. 7 out of 10 in the money this year, and I would expect we'll be close to the front and should be, a halfway decent price. I'm expecting not to be the favorite. The favorite probably is going to be the 3. Seymour Little, Carroll's back. This horse was 4 to 5 last time, and now drops into a claimer, which is a little bit, I don't know. I'm not that crazy about that move, considering the horse has been racing well enough. Is making money, with second last time at an upper level, but Flash Speed is a likely favorite, probably the one to have to take down. And then the 8, Saxton Sealster. This horse won last time after getting away 7th in an 8-horse race. Made a giant move at Flamborough to win at 5-1 with Coulter. Coulter's back, gets the inside draw here and should be up close early considering the inside speed. I think they're the only 3 that can win, so 2, 3, 8.
Rod, you agree that they are 3 horses that can win, but not the only 3.
No, I don't think they're the only 3. I throw one more in there. The 2 Vibers, Hanover, had an equipment break last week. That was really the key there. The horse was going to be right there, was making a move toward the lead. So this is one that you have to use from the inside. And Mark St. Louis, I don't think, has ever ducked a horse in his life. So this one's going toward the lead. The 3, Seymour Little, comes off a decent race there. Made a first over, moved on the backside, cleared a tiring horse last time, and just got caught late. I don't mind that start at all. Only problem is he's 1 for 20. The 4, Marvelous Marv, goes to a new barn tonight, ships down from Redo, facing some okay competition there, but this horse has hit the board 7 out of 11 times this year. I think if he can work out a trip here, he is only a 2-year-old, but if he can work out the trip, then he's got a shot. And then the 8, Saxton Sealster, likely big favorite here, coming off a really good win. Keeps Coulter, like Mike said, and is a definite player from an inside post. So 2, 3, 4, and 8.
I agree with the 2, Vibers, Hanover. I got the Southern for some reason as this lifesaver's dissolving in my mouth. I agree with the 8, Saxon Sealster. However, I'm also 3 deep in this race, but I'm adding on the 5, Cortez the Killer. Last out broke over the surface at London. It was his first start in 2 weeks. The start before that was over at Flamborough. And I see what you mean by St. Louis. I don't think he understands there are other places to race besides on the lead. But he shot this horse out from post 8, parked the mile before he then discovered that there is, in fact, a place where you can be that's not on the lead. He finished last by 20 or so lengths in that race over at Flamborough. But you look back in his lines prior to, against similar competition, was racing well here at London, had 2 straight wins before shipping to Flamborough and coming back here. So as long as he stays flat, he should be able to get off the gate or get some kind of position. And so long as, again, he stays flat, that form should be made more evident. He could potentially upset given the right circumstances. 2, 5, 8 for me. He's the only extra horse I throw on. Second leg's the 8th race. Non-winners of $40,000 lifetime with some other conditions about fillies and mares and something like that. I don't know. It's a trot. Field of 8 going postward. Scratch the also eligible. Mike, for you, you're 3 deep again.
3 deep, a little bit chalky. The inside 2, the 1, 7 stars. This horse has been the favorite the last 4 times. Broke last time. And, I think a little bit of a tougher spot. Prior to that, had won 3 out of 4. Gets the rail. This horse always kind of doesn't get away necessarily near the front, but always kind of makes a big move very early in the race, and I would expect a similar one. The 2, one of the few. This horse has off a layoff was racing Knowers at 5 at Woodbine this spring and summer. Those are much, much, much tougher than these. But laid off, then ended up in a 3-horse qualifier, which, was decent enough. Kicked home 30-4, basically by himself the whole way around. If ready, the horse has to be respected just based on class. I mean, this horse has made 63,000. Then the 5, PC Silent Drive. This horse raced very well off the layoff. Hadn't been out since August. Had a very marginal qualifier, and then, I don't know, you remember this race, Rod, but this horse was basically out the whole way, and ended up kicking home to win. I think has a little bit of class. 6 wins lifetime. Should be better here second time. 1-2-5 for me.
Rod, you get the privilege to put words into my mouth as you and I are on the same 3 horses in this race, and per usual, as odd as it may sound, I don't feel like talking that much. So tell me, or Rod, for everyone listening, explain why I like these 3 horses.
I'll explain why I like them.
Oh, you're no fun.
The 1, 7 Stars, comes off that break. Like Mike said, this one's been bet down to the favorite the last 4 starts in a row. He's won 2 of them and has to be respected from the rail. Doesn't have a lot of gate speed, so is likely going to end up first over. The 2, one of the few, comes off a really good qualifier, actually. That's a very underrated qualifier there. The track was off at least 3 seconds that day. And as long as this one stays flat, definitely give this one a shot. And then the 4, Glider Man, another one that has a braking issue, but when flat is definitely good enough. That last start was against the 1, off 6-1. He got to the lead and never looked back. He was an easy winner there. It was actually a really good mile and a 16th race there. The time kind of throws you off because it was a mile and a 16th, but this horse was giant that night, and he didn't really have to ask him for much late in the mile. He was kind of coasting away from everybody, and then he kind of just grabbed up on him right by the wire.
I think it would have been different, though, if the 1 hadn't broken in the race. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'm curious.
No, the 1 would have been right there.
Okay.
The 1 would have been right there with him.
But it definitely made it easier that he ran.
Yeah, if he doesn't break, then it's a 2-horse race instead of a 1-horse race. So I think if something like that happens again, the 1 or the 4 could get away from him. But again, the key with all 3 of the horses I'm using here, the 1, 2, and 4, they have to stay flat. And I guess if you want a safer play, then the 5 would be where you would go for a safer play, one that doesn't really break. So 1, 2, 4 for me.
Now, if my Now, if my prescription is correct, this is actually an 8-horse race. Just so happens 3 horses have a chance to win. 7 Stars. I forget if you touched on this, either Mike or Rod. But the thing I noted was in his last 4 starts, this horse has gone off the favorite. Last 3 in particular was the odds-on favorite, winning 2 of those last 3. And then, as Mike was mentioning, broke in his most recent start, to which Glider Man won, going 207-1 in that added distance. Glider Man definitely appealing in the cutback, but of course, as Rod was mentioning, he's got to keep his legs going forward. If he makes his legs go up in the air, that's a no-no. He's not gonna cut out the mile at that point. He's gonna be hip-hop jumping barbershop back in the rear of the field. So those 2 definitely contenders. One of the few is a question mark because of his breaks. Although his lines at Woodbine, while they may look mediocre, look like they fit the London circuit well. And assuming that qualifier means he's good to go, then he should be good to go. Like I said, if you're assuming that, it's self-explanatory. 1, 2, 4 for me. Rod, you got it. You nailed it pretty well. The 3rd leg is the 9th race, because 9 comes after 8 in most countries. This is a $15,000 claiming event, condition claiming event for filly and mare pacers. We got 3 scratches out of this race, so there are 5 horses going to gate. And Mike, you take 2 of them.
Yeah, there's I think there's more than 3 scratches, isn't there?
No, scratches here.
1, 2, 4, and 7 are out.
Oh, the 1's out now.
Oh, that's a late scratch.
That's a late scratch then. Okay, so we are scratched down to a field of 4 there. And that leaves me with a single. Leaves Rod with a single.
Okay, so, shoot. Too deep for me since you threw it to me.
I did.
I think it has to be the 5 or the 6. The 5, racing well at this level, with the scratches, obviously gets a much better post to work with. Most of the competition inside has been taken out. This horse tends to sit and rally, just looks faster than most of these. And then the 6 actually gets Kelly here, which is a huge driver switch. I would expect this horse to be on the front. Got tired last time against better ones. It has to be one of those two for me, 5, 6.
For Rod and I, it's just the 5.
Well, it would be just
the 6 with Kelly in the bike is a contender.
Let me remember. Large in Legacy. Oh, is that a driver switch?
Yes.
Okay, so Tyler Moore's off, Colin Kelly's on.
Well, that for me, I mean, this is a race now that is completely changed with the scratch of the 1. Again, the 1, 2, what is it? 1, 2, 4, and 7 are all out.
Yep.
So you're left with the 3, 5, 6, and 8 here in race number 9. It makes it a lot tougher because you've got 1 shipping up first time in London for the 3 horse, the 5 who's going to be the favorite but doesn't win that often, which I think is going to be the big favorite, but is going to have to pass them. She'll get away 4th and last, and has all the work to do really. Mm-hmm. The 6 Large Down Legacy should be cutting a mile, will be right on the lead. Could get away with very soft fractions, so I think is a must-use at this point. And then the 8 Putnam's Fire. Coming off some decent races, just does not like to win. 4 for 63. I'm not a big fan of that, so I'm not going to use her in this race. I'm going 5 and 6. I know my ticket says 1 and 5, but with the scratch of the 5 or with the scratch of the 1, throw the 6 on there.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to side with you, especially since you mentioned the possible pace setup. I didn't even consider that when Mike was talking about this horse. Just by the fact that if Large and Legacy gets to the lead, no one else really challenges her because it's a 4-horse field, then I mean it's her race to lose. She can certainly lose that race to the 5 friends to the end, but she's gonna have a jump on them at the top of the stretch, and it's just by how the track's been playing, advantage might go to Large and Legacy in that circumstance. I'm gonna go 5-6 in that leg as well. We're all gonna be 5-6 in the 3rd leg, as the final leg is the 10th race. It's another condition claiming event going a mile and a 16th. It's on the pace. 9 horses going poster unless there's another late scratch that I did not know about. Mike, you cap it off with 3.
Pretty deep here. The 1, Ace 44, Don. This horse won last time. Loses Kelly, but, gets Shepherd, draws the rail. I would imagine would control. Those are tougher. I think those are tougher races at Flamborough than here. The 3, Stormy Cash. This horse has a giant blowout win, first time London. Perfect trip, but I still like that effort, especially getting onto this track. And, this horse could just have a little bit of an affinity for the track and has a back Woodbine win in a fast time. So I don't mind that. And then the 6, Sports Tale, a little bit sneaky here. This horse, last time had no chance, was basically parked the entire way, finished 9th at Flamborough. Prior to that, had won 3 out of 4. And, in decent time at Flamborough, a little bit of a price to finish at 136.
Rod, you're a bit deeper than him, going 4 deep.
Yeah, I'm 4 deep. The 1, Ace 44 Don, like Mike said, coming off that win. You go back a few starts, back to October 22nd. This horse was 3rd in basically the same type of class. It was a straight condition race. Drops into the claimers here. I think is a must-use on the class change and the ship back over. The 2, Stonebridge Guard, just crushed him last week. Wasn't even asked. A must-play, 9 for 19 on the year. You got to love that. The 3, Stormy Cash, another one that comes off a dominant win but got a perfect setup there. Chased some fast fractions early and just kind of benefited from it. I see no reason not to use him, but I'm not going to go crazy on a horse like that, especially at short odds. And then the 8, Jim's great. I think this one could be the one to get the setup. Was racing at Woodbine, facing much, much tougher horses there. Came to London last time and broke. Should have some different rigging tonight. I expect this horse to stay flat. Went off the favorite last week in this class, so no reason for me not to have him on the ticket with the inside post. We'll be following the one right off the car. We'll be in line for a great setup, so I think this horse is a use as a decent price play. 1, 2, 3, 8.
I was very tempted. I was very tempted to single the 3 Stormy Cash in this race, but I took another one with the 6 Sports Tail, primarily because. Sports Tail. 2 starts back over at Flamborough, 1 from off the pace, but also shows lines where he got off the gate towards the top, sat a trip, and won. I'm siding more with the idea that he can leave the gate, sit up close, and possibly overtake late, or else Stormy Cash is probably just going to steal that race. So I'm 3-6 in the last. Here's my ticket for 20 cents. 2-5-8 with 1-2-4 with 1-5 with 3-6, or with third leg is 5-6 with 3-6, excuse me. That's $7.20 for 20 cents. Mike, your ticket.
2-3-8 with 1-2-5 with 5-6 with 1-3-6. It's 10.80. I punched it a few times.
Rod!
2-3-4-8 with 1-2-4 with 5-6 with 1-2-3-8. It's 19.20.
And those tickets, minus the correction in the third leg for Rods and Eyes, are up on our Twitter page at NA Harness. Update 50 seconds to post time. Favored here at even money, the 8 Saxon Sealster. Then the second choice at 5-2. The 5, now 2-1. The 5 Cortez the Killer, the horse that's only on my ticket. Third choice then at 9-2. The 2 Bibers Hanover. Rod, final thoughts as they're going to the gate.
I'm gonna win.
That's okay.
That's solid analysis.
That's as best as baseline as you can get, and you know what? I'm fine with it. If you want more expertise,
the price on the 2 and the 3 is very good in here. I think.
What's that?
The prices on the 2 and the 3 are very, very good.
Yeah, I agree.
5's way more bet in the race.
I'd agree with that. In fact,
price on a 2 is that's way overvalued.
Yeah,
way overvalued.
I'm betting the 2 to win here.
A little bit of exactas with the 2 and the 3 on top.
Starter calls.
Real quick, while they go to the gate here, I want to thank everybody for whoever it was that nominated me for Innovator of the Year again for the second year in a row.
Even money favorite, the 8 Saxon Sealster, 5-2 on the 5 Cortez the Killer, 4-1 now on the 2 Bibers Hanover. Scratch down to a field of 7, 6 in line, 1 in behind. Field in motion. Approaching the start for the 7th from London. And it's away and pacing from the center, leaving out. Comes Marvelous Marv. Bibers Hanover to the inside around the turn, leaves out 2. As Marvelous Marv tries to clear control to the opening quarter, Bibers Hanover parks that one out to the inside. Those 2 battle 2.5 lengths ahead of Good Timing away third. Gap of 3.5, now 4 to Seymour Little fourth. Saxon Sealster races 5th to the backstretch. They're then back to Cortez the Killer and Time for Wine. Bibers Hanover overtakes Marvelous Marv to the inside. Emerges on top through a 28-1 opening clip. Pocket sitter now Marvelous Marv sits a length and 3/4 off the leader around the second turn. Good Timing is back third, about 3.5 lengths off the lead. Seymour Little angles off the rail. Going to Journey first over with Saxon Sealster on the helmet coming into the lane first time. Still back then to Cortez the Killer, followed by Time for Wine as they go on to that half. Bibers Hanover in control, slowing it to a 59-1 clip, 31 seconds that second quarter. Outside and moving, Seymour Little now takes the second spot in tandem with Marvelous Marv locked in third. Second up in that flow, odds-on favorite Saxon Sealster with about 3.5 lengths to make up. Poised to tip 3 wide to the back stretch. Locked in behind them towards the back. Then we have Time for Wine as now here comes Saxon Sealster blitzing Bibers Hanover. Bibers Hanover loses the lead. lead. Outside, Saxon Sealster circles to the top. 129 and 3 the three-quarter time. A 30 and 2 third quarter there as Saxon Sealster has a jump on them by 2. Time for Wine gradually gaining ground to the outside while Bibers Hanover still in contention to the inside. Stretch bound now. Saxon Sealster holds sway over Time for Wine to the outside, trying to surge by, but Saxon Sealster extending his lead to the line, wins by 2.5 in the end. Time for Wine second from Bibers Hanover, and then Seymour Little in 2 minutes, 1/5. Nothing like starting a pick 4 with a 3-5 favorite.
Rod, explain this to me here. Like, seriously, if you drive, okay?
He did.
The way that race set up, what's he thinking on the 2 to go 28-1 in that first quarter whenever all he has to do is sit and then he can retake and probably go 2 seconds slower?
I told you.
Instead of gunning like that.
He doesn't grab anything. I
just don't understand. And the 2 was extremely live. I mean, look, the 2 gets beat 2 lengths, 3 lengths off that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand the thinking there.
Well,
do drivers think? We asked our panel.
He doesn't duck anything. He won't put anything in a hole. I mean, he's been parked twice tonight, and the other 2 races. I think this is the 4th drive he's had. The other 2 races. I'm not second guessing.
I'm just asking, like, what your thoughts are there. Like, being that you drive, something like that just seems. I don't know. I just don't get it. I don't understand, especially whenever it's a 30-1 sitting next to you.
Well, he's got to be on the lead all the time. That's the way he drives. That's really all I can say about it. I would think
love to bet the 2 back off that race. I would love to.
I would think everybody else would just get in behind him immediately because he's not going to let you go. But hey, they wanted the battle.
Okay.
As a race caller,
Just curious.
I loved Mark making that move because the best races to call are the ones where dumb moves are made. Saxon Sealster.
It's just completely unnecessary. I mean, especially when everything's stretched out behind you, there's nothing anywhere close.
That's true. But then again, Mike, you know what I'm a big fan of.
I mean, I don't mind racing, whatever, but I just don't really know.
Saxon Sealster, 3-5 favorite. Holds off 15-1 shot. Time for Wine. Bibers Hanover third at 4-1. Seymour Little fourth, 8-1. Odds on favorite kicks off the late pick 4 sequence with Scott Coulter. I was trying to think of what Coulter sounds like. I got nothing. However, Saxon Sealster, think he's a tenor man or an alto man? We asked our panel. We're all moving on in that sequence. Next race is the second leg. It goes to post in 12 minutes, Opening up the favorite right now at even money, the 8, King of Magic. That's not going to last. At least it shouldn't. I am alive in this race to the 1, 2, and 4, as is Rod. Mike has the 1, 2, and 5. That, again, is in 12 minutos, as we call them in certain countries, including this one. It really depends on the context of who's speaking, what's being spoken, when's it being spoken, and most importantly, when's it being spoken.
Oh, quick point to bring up here. If you haven't taken our survey yet, you can do so on NotHoopX.com. Right on the homepage, just click the button or the underlined text that's highlighted that says here, and it will take you to the survey. It takes 2 minutes.
Yeah, and we need a sample size in order for it to mean anything.
How many have taken it, Rod?
Over 65,000 people have tuned in.
The last I checked, it was at 106 or something, but that was a couple days ago.
How many of those are you?
You can only take it once. You can only take it once.
I love the idea of Rod being the kind of guy who makes surveys just to emphasize his opinion.
No, I didn't.
Looking at our survey, which I took 35 times.
Yeah. No, the questions on the survey are general questions that don't get asked, and the public doesn't have a chance to answer. So I wanted to get the public's opinion on questions that they feel are needed to be asked that haven't been asked.
They feel or you feel?
That's a good point.
Oh, no, it's both, because we've all been approached by people that have asked these same questions to us.
That's a good point.
So it took me a few hours to come up with 10 questions. I mean, really 8 questions, because 2 of them were driver of the year and trainer of the year. So those ones were questions. I mean, those were easy ones to come up with. You know,
who do you think the driver of the year is?
Rod Allums Jr.
Merriman.
Ron.
Yeah.
Now, explain to me why, Rod. I don't think he's won any Meadowlands paces this year, and there were 12 of them held. He had a chance to win at least 6. He didn't win any of them.
I don't care. If you win 1,000 races in a year, you should win driver of the year. I don't care what $1 million race you win. I don't care if you win a $500,000 race and a $300,000 race and a $200,000 race
at the same time, though, Rod. At the same time.
Do you think?
You know what means something? Winning 1,000 times in 1 year.
Do you think? Now, I mean, obviously, he puts in his work and he's fantastic at what he does.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's racing 30 times a day, and he's winning his 1,000. I mean, he's obviously putting the work in. But do you think because he won 1,000 last year, people are more apt to kind of give him the thought like, oh, okay, we skipped over him last year, let's give it to him this year since he's done it 2 in a row. When he's never going to be
first driver too.
He's not going to be the guy that's winning, $20 million or whatever it is. I don't know how much Tetrick has won, but it's right. It's up there. How do you gauge the fact that, the guy that's winning all the big stakes races, the big races that the big guys are racing in every single week versus winning 1,000 races at the Meadows in Northfield where he really probably has to beat 2 or 3 guys that are top level every day? I'm not being ignorant. I'm just saying that it's a different level.
Yeah, he's just saying.
It's a different level, but to me, those guys are the guys that get recognized year in, year out because
they're supposed to. When you're the best, you get recognized. People playing and
that's true.
Don't win MVP and the NBA or in MLB. It just doesn't work that way.
I just want to say Mike's correct on that point because we are evidence of that. But go on, Rod.
I have nothing against those guys winning awards because they all deserve those awards. Guys like Dave Miller and Tim Tetrick and Yannick Gingras,
only them.
The list goes on there. They all deserve awards for what they do. But to me, the driver of the year, what did you do this year to show that you are exemplary at driving?
Ooh, big word.
$15 million. That's what he did.
Tetrick won $15 million. Aaron Merriman won 1,000+ races. He's going to win 1,200 by the end.
And that's absolutely respectable and needs recognized. But where do you put that in context with the guys that are facing the absolute top level of competition all the time?
The one thing that I note with Aaron, he drives at 2 tracks, which a lot of the guys on the East Coast do that as well.
More than 2.
He drives at 2 tracks a day, and the amount of effort that it takes to do that, because it's not like it's an hour apart. This is a 3-hour drive, 2.5, 3 hours, depending how fast you're going. Knowing Aaron, he drives. It takes him 2 hours and 20 minutes. But he lives in Akron, so he lives 25 minutes from Northfield. He lives 2 hours from the Meadows, so he's got to drive 2 hours to the Meadows in the morning, drive 2.5 back to Northfield, and then drive 25 minutes home afterwards.
He's obviously putting in the work, and I think he's awesome. I mean, he's won races for me as an owner, many races, not 1 or 2, like 10. You know what I mean? Like, I think he's fantastic. But when you're talking about this kind of thing, I just think that there's a separation somehow.
Separation for me is he won 1,000 races.
I get it. Just like we can if there's any way you want to, but my opinion is this, and it could be right or wrong, but the guys that are racing at the absolute top level all the time are the ones that, or should be looking at driver of the year. Not
here's where I'm gonna give you the objection to the way you're thinking here. If you remember back 10 years ago, Tim Tetrick made his move out east, right?
Yep.
Where did he race when he won 1,000 races?
Dover. Meadowlands.
Dover.
right.
He raced at Dover and at the Meadowlands. And at that time, that was when the Meadowlands was transitioning. All the drivers were transitioning.
I understand that. I know what you're saying.
So he won driver of the year that year because he won 1,000 races.
Yeah.
The only reason he won it. It didn't matter where he drove.
But
He won 1,000
who was there to rival him? That's my question.
Tony Morgan. Tony Morgan was.
How many races did he win that year?
700-800.
Well, you have Tim Tetrick winning over 1,000 races, including in 07, because that was the year it happened. The Meadowlands Pace, among other races. Keep that in mind. He was still top level, winning stakes races that year.
Right.
On
And still
top
winning.
of setting a dash record.
Now, I understand that if Aaron wants to win 1,000, he can't be hitting the Grand Circuit. They don't go 2 and 2 together very well.
Mm-hmm.
It's extremely difficult to do that. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I find, and it's a very interesting argument, to be sure.
I agree. It is an argument, and it's worth having.
It sure it is. Absolutely
Like,
it is.
I mean, it's everybody's got a different
Your opinion's clouded more because you like him as a guy.
Well,
And you're looking at it like, yeah, he's driving 3 hours a day to get it done, versus like if the track's 15 minutes apart, would it be just as impressive to you? I don't know.
You'd think he'd have a helicopter.
Tetrick and I grew up together almost. I mean,
Exactly. So, he's your friend. If it was John Doe, would you care?
I'm friends with all these guys.
You're not friends with John Doe. Yeah, you don't know John Doe like I do.
But
It's just not worth it.
it's not up to me and you and Ray to decide this. It's up to, I feel like it should be up to the public to say who they think should win driver of the year. And that's why I put the question on the survey.
Yes,
It's up to the harness riders or whatever it is.
Exactly.
And if it was me and I had a vote, I would probably vote, one way. I'm sure you would probably vote for Aaron.
Yeah, I would vote for him. That would be my vote. And I'm not afraid to give my opinion on it, just like you're not and Ray's not. And nobody should be afraid to give their opinion on who they think driver of the year is. I mean, they're all deserving. I'm not saying none of them are not deserving.
Right. And I'm not against one versus the other. And like I said, I think that, Aaron is unbelievable and he's won things for me too. So, but, I have my thoughts on, what I think is deserving and what isn't. So.
And meanwhile, the median age of the Harness Riders Association is 72. 72 year old.
72.
The average?
You have, a guy like you that's 20 years old, that the time, we should be transitioning to get the younger people involved, but nobody has any interest in that. Like, we get totally tucked away into a corner because we're different.
Well, Mike, here's why you shouldn't go for the younger audience. It's because they are going to die someday. So there's really no point in trying to get their attention at all if they're just going to be gone. It doesn't make logical business sense.
Yeah, well,
I get frustrated on certain things that I'm not going to talk about, but
well, here we have another driver perspective on the feed here, watching the feed. Sean Beer, thanks for commenting. You guys know Sean Beer, correct?
Yep, Sean Beer.
Yep.
Down Dover.
So he says, great achievement by Aaron, deserves recognition. Driver of the year is tough.
So he kind of thinks alongside that I think. Same way.
Yeah, it's a tough choice. That's why we have the survey on the website. Go check out the survey. Put your vote in. Fans are going to get heard because nobody else wants to hear the fans. We do.
And then we're gonna forward it to the Harness Riders of America, who will read it poolside in Orlando before dropping it into the pool where it will get suctioned into the pump and it will break the
Well,
hotel.
if they don't read it, I'm going to read it. So
If they don't read it, Rod will read it. And that will be
because why?
very effective.
Why am I going to read it?
Because you made the survey.
Because Savage. Nahu is savage. We do everything that racing doesn't do.
It's like punk rock if it was in 2018 and with less eyeliner. No? No one?
No.
Wow, you guys
No.
you guys are how are you guys too young for punk rock or too old for punk rock? I don't know which side you guys would be on.
I listen to heavy metal.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were trying to go more hardcore there. Jesus, excusez-moi.
0 minutes at London.
Glider Man is currently parading, and he is 3-1, 6-5 favorite. The 7 stars. This horse was, of course, going to burn money again. There's no way one of the few was going to be the favorite, even though he was the favorite on the morning line.
On the 5.
The 5 PC Silent Drive, currently 12-1. I'm on the side that
We have
thinks.
a couple shout outs here.
Oh,
We
yes.
we had a ton of people watching us yell at each other about Driver of the Year there. Colin Kelly, Ty Traxler, Sean Beer, Andy Shetler, Ryan Miller, Terry Wilson, Mitch McKenzie.
Wait, isn't Colin racing?
Sean Beer's got a good question. Sean Beer has a very good question.
Okay, shoot it.
Was Walter Case Driver of the Year when he did it?
What year did he do it?
When was that, Sean? Was that 97, 98?
2 minutes to post.
You have Google.
I am looking up Ushwa Awards to see when he was Driver of the Year.
Let's see.
Because was he Driver of the Year or Dasher of the Year? Well, again, we don't know, so that's why we're looking at it. But also, 1:30 to post. 7 stars, floats up to 8-5. 3-1 on Glider Man, 7-2 then on One of the Few, as well as Pinecone Pete. Ah, yes. Who could forget the everlasting Pinecone Pete? Oh, wait, I already have this on my phone. Just open it. All right, so let's see. Driver of the Year, Walter Case Jr. won in Adobe Acrobat Reader.
He did win. He did win it in 1998 whenever he won 1,077 races. Yes.
But was he also a stakes driver? Oh, hey. I just floated by the year my dad won the Hervey Award back in 1995.
Well, that's not valid here for this discussion.
It's not, but I'm looking at all of the past winners here on my phone. Fun fact, the story that won him that award was about a man in Ireland who drove harness horses and invented a form of Tupperware that was not flammable.
Does it break under the pressure of a van's back tire?
How did that win?
I did not read the entire article. Okay, so for some reason, they only list Driver of the Year back to 2003.
No, I told you it said that he won. He won it 3 times. 91, 92, 98. And 98 was the year he won 1,077 races.
Yeah, he really beat the competition there. Was that bad taste? That was probably in bad taste. Even money favorite, 7 stars as its post time.
And he did it in like
London.
1,000 starts.
In 10,000 starts?
No, in like 3,000.
Oh, in 3.
He had like a 500 average that year. It was ridiculous.
I think Aaron this year has 4,000, like just over 4,000 starts. He's won at like 25%. If I'm not mistaken. As they're lining up for the 8th.
I'm live for the 1, 2, 4.
I'm also live to the 1, 2, and 4. Mike is live to the 1, 2, and 5.
5.
As this field is lining up. Field of 8. Swinging into the stretch. They're in line, in behind, in motion, approaching the start for the 8th at London. As these trotters are at the start and they're off. PC Silent Drive leaves well to the inside. One of the few outside of that one, Pinecone Pete, and towards the rail, 7 stars. Moving into the first turn there, PC Silent Drive on the point as one of the few gets away second. Tucking into third, BJ Savannah ahead of 7 Stars fourth as they move on to the backstretch. King of Magic then fifth. Sixth away, Pinecone Pete. They're then back to Kill Martin, Pretty Boy, and Glider Man out of the picture as they move on to the opening quarter. PC Silent Drive dictates the terms by a length and 3/4 over one of the few. BJ Savannah's third, 30 and 4. That first panel as 7 Stars begins to tip off the rail from fourth and to commit first over around that far turn first time. And behind that one, King of Magic going to pick up that cover second over. Third up comes Pinecone Pete, sticking to the inside, Kill Martin, Pretty Boy, and catching the field in the back, Glider Man, about 7 lengths off the leader. PC Silent Drive coming to the half-mile station. Outside and moving, 7 Stars up to his wheel now, only a half length off the lead as they go past the half in 1:03, a 31 and 1 second quarter into the clubhouse turn on circuit 2. 1 lap to go. PC Silent Drive a neck advantage on 7 Stars to the outside pressing. On cover, King of Magic is in third and only a length and a half off the lead as one of the few drops back to the inside in fourth. Second up in that flow, then Pinecone Pete fifth as moving up wide towards the back of the pack comes Glider Man to the 3/4 pole. Out clearing control, 7 Stars as PC Silent Drive retreats. Outside, King of Magic overtakes the second spot past 3/4 in 1:32 and 2:29 and 2 that third quarter to the top of the stretch. Chasing 7 Stars, the advantage 3 lengths. King of Magic trying to chase from second with PC Silent Drive still in contention, but coming down to the finish. 7 Stars has it under wraps, wins by 3.5, 4 in the end over King of Magic and PC Silent Drive in 2:02, 1/5. I thought it was great starting the pick 4 with a 3-5 shot. I think it's even better getting the 8-5 shot in the second leg. I am salivating right now. This is turning out way.
Well, it was a 3-1 morning line, so that's a little bit better than the price you got.
And hopefully that means something come payoff leg, final leg. Payoff leg, also known as the final leg. But going back to that Walter Case thing, I don't remember his career that well because I wasn't even born yet. But
yeah.
I know it's strange to think, right? I'm on top of the industry and I'm not even old enough to vote. And you see, with him, I don't know when he left the Grand Circuit or even when he was on the Grand Circuit, even let alone when he was driving horses. I forgot that part too, as I go in circles, acting like I'm trying to figure that out, when in reality, I'm just stalling because we were approaching break time and I got dizzy doing that.
Well, again, you can take the survey on NahooPicks.com. It's right on the homepage. Just click where it says here, underlined, and it takes 2 minutes. That's it. I think that it said the average time was 2 minutes and 10 seconds. That's how long people took to take. And 10 questions, very straightforward, in and out of there. And then you can check out all the analysis.
Yeah, if it takes you more than 2 minutes, you should rethink your life decisions. Speaking of analysis, I'm assuming Rod's analysis is pretty spot on at Western Fair. What's happening at the Meadowlands? 7th race going postward. Trolley 320 winner. It's been pretty chalky over at the Meadowlands, unfortunately. Delcrest Holiday, okay. Birkin Gingras won. That horse was on the contender sheet. Yeah, it's been an all right night at the Meadowlands for me. You're still
pretty good at the Meadowlands, right?
Yeah, but the problem is that upsets don't come in. There was only one upset tonight, and it was a horse that I didn't really think would be up close to the pace. But then I was looking at the past performances. I went, of course this horse is going to sit the pocket. And I just didn't know if that would be enough. By the way, my best bet of the night is now surging to the lead at odds of 5-2 to beat the even money favorite. It's a cold exacta given out. Oh, wait, is this a cold trifecta? This is going to be a cold trifecta given out on NahooPicks.com. I believe 4-6-1 were the numbers. In that 7th race, look at me. 4-6-1. That's a 5-2 over even money, over 7-1 in that 7th race. As we get ready to go to break, when we come back here, We'll have some Meadowlands later on, but not for tonight, for tomorrow. And we're also going... Wait, did I give out the Super? Cold? I might have given out the Super Cold. But then again, it's the 4 favorites. I mean, big deal. Well, coming back, we'll have Russ Adams from Rosecroft Raceway on to talk Potomac Pace. No, the horse I had for 4th finished 6th. And then he will join us for the late pick 4. All that and more coming up in hour 2 of North American Horse Update. But if you want to hear it, you got to stick around to hear it. Here on SRN1 and on whatever video platforms stream. Come back. Why don't you?
It's true. They got a message from the action man. I'm happy, hope you're happy too. I've loved all I've needed love, saw the details fall away. The shrieking when nothing is given, just pictures of chap girls and synthesis. And I ain't got no money and I ain't got no hands. But I'm hoping to kick because glad it is glowing. Ashes to ash and funk to funky. We know Major Tom's a junkie, strung out in heaven's high, hitting an all-time low. Smoking pistol. I've never done good things. I've never done bad things. I never did anything out of the blue. Whoa. Want an X to break the ice. Wanna come down right now. Ashes to ashes, funk to funky. We know Major Tom's a junkie, strung out in heaven's high, hitting an all-time low. My mama said to get things done, you better not mess with Major Tom. My mama said to get things done, you better not mess with Major Tom. My mama said to get things done, you better not mess with
Fulapong and Woodbridge. Water faucets at the Newmarket Courthouse are shut off following fears of lead in the supply, according to provincial sources. Infrastructure Ontario tested the water in June and September, refusing to release the results. 2 unnamed employees leaked the results to the local paper, claiming that the province knew they supplied water containing lead for a week before turning off the faucets. Justices and officials have been given bottled water as building management and the province investigate. 2 pedestrians were killed by cars in York Region on the same day. Police were called on Monday night to the entrance of First Markham Place on Highway 7, where a woman was struck while walking a crosswalk. Less than an hour later, police attended to another call around Rutherford GO Station in Vaughan, where a vehicle struck a middle-aged Toronto man. York Regional Police say drivers should be mindful and extra careful now that winter driving conditions have arrived. Police are worried about the well-being of a mother and newborn in Mississauga. Officers believe someone gave birth on Monday afternoon at a park near Glen Erin Drive and Thomas Drive after being called in to look into suspicious circumstances. According to a Peel Regional Police spokesperson, attending officers found blood, forceps, and other evidence that appear to be related to childbirth. Anyone with information is urged to contact Peel Regional Police. Rain +4 in the forecast. I'll have more updates on SRN1. For now, I'm Fulapong.
Thank you, Phil, and welcome back to More They'll Love Me When I'm Dead. I'm Orson Welles, joined here by Mike Pribozie and Ron Allums Jr. When we last left off on the show, we're all alive in the Pick 4 at London, and by we're all, I'm not only speaking about us three. Everyone else has no excuse to be out of this sequence whatsoever. Favorite 1 won the first one. Favorite 2 won the second. And now it's a 4-horse field in this third leg where the 5 Friends to the End is the current favorite at even money. And then the second choice at 9-5 is the 8 Putnam's Fire for some reason. Aside from that, some point we should have Russ Adams joining us on the show to discuss the Potomac Pace, and then we're going to end things off with the late pick 4 for Saturday at the Meadowlands. What's the update on Russ, Rodney?
I'm going to get him on right now.
Let's get him on right now. Let's get him on. Get him on. Yeah. Get him on. I was trying to do that to the Let's Get It On song. But then as I started singing it, I realized I did not know how that song goes. But
That's not that big of a surprise.
But hey, are you not? You see, I don't come on this show to be insulted by the fact I'm a young boy. I could just go to my father for that. I come here to be viewed as an esteemed figure, a virtuoso of some kind, who will have a cult someday. So do we have? Did I hear this here, Russ?
Yes.
All right, Russ made it nice.
Guys.
Fantastic! And he sounds echoey because of the recording. If you can get him closer to the microphone, Rodney.
Let me take it off speaker. Maybe that's why.
Well, no, you sound clearer now. Then again, he always sounds a little nasally. I probably shouldn't say that because now he's gonna be self-conscious about it. But then again, Russ, to be fair, I have to deal with how I sound on a daily basis, so we're in the same boat here.
Fair enough.
Russ is one of the best sports. He works at Rosecroft Raceway, and he's taken time out of his busy schedule to come on this show, as he did at the Hambletonian, because there were so many other shows he could have gone on while at the Hambletonian, but he stopped at the North American Harness Update table, and he joined us. Now he's back again. Russ, the Potomac Pace at Rosecroft Sunday. Now, I forget what iteration of the Potomac Pace it is, but last year Keystone Velocity won it. Does this year look better than last year?
I would say yes, and even better because I feel like we got just as strong competition as we did the last 2 years. And this year we were racing it a month further. This is the third edition of the Potomac Pace, by the way.
Okay.
And the first two, they were both set by track records. The first one, I believe, was 148-2, and I think the other one is 147-3.
And the first one was All Bets Off.
I don't think we're going to break the track record, but I think it'll be close.
I do remember All Bets Off did win the first Potomac Pace.
Yes, and then last year he finished second behind Keystone Velocity. It finished, I believe, 1-2-3.
That sounds correct. That sounds correct. And just looking at this field, you got 8 horses, some of whom have not really been Grand Circuit contenders, others who our only Grand Circuit contenders. You get Filibuster Hanover's the morning line favorite. Delta Winner draws the inside. And then you also have Rock and Ron and Western Fame switching barns. Right off the bat, Russ, what's your first impression of this race before you really start analyzing it?
Delta Winner getting the rail is a big disadvantage at Rosecroft.
Okay.
I believe, I know some people are not going to think this, but the rail at Rosecroft, I believe, is the worst spot on the racetrack.
Why is that?
Because of the really high bank turns here at Rosecroft. It's one of the highest bank tracks in the country. And I'd rather be where Rock and Ron's at in the 8 hole than have Delta Winner on the 1. That's just me.
But
if Rock and Ron's obviously going to leave, so he'll be able to go down. He'll be able to go down the slope as Delta Winner's going up the slope.
So
you know how physics work.
I think
so,
roughly.
I think Rock and Ron's going to be at the top right away, and then Filibuster Hanover will be right behind him.
But with banked racetracks,
and then after that, you know,
with banked racetracks, Russ, and correct me if I'm wrong, Delta Winner is the kind of horse that races best chasing others. So do you think maybe not showing much speed early on could play to his advantage, as not only does my father sneak in to the back of this feed, but also the fact that he's going to be coming from off the pace, he's going to be on the higher end of that bank, no?
Right, he will. Well, the thing is, Delta Winner doesn't have the horse can leave, but he could also come from the back. And, I've seen horses come from, I've seen, B.B. Burner do it. B.B. Burner is going to be in another race in this cart. Mm-hmm. I've seen that horse do it, but I've seen horses. I don't see a lot of horses come winning from the 1 hole. I don't think I have my, where the post position winning percentages are right in front of me, but I'm pretty sure, I'm almost 100% sure the 8 hole wins more than the 1 does.
And
that's interesting, especially for a 5/8 mile track, because
yes.
Usually the smaller the track, the more it favors the inside. But that's an interesting stat there.
Yes, I know we have handicap races for like the Open and the best Rock and Roll Jenkins, the 8 and 9. I get all that, but I've seen horses win for the 8 and 9 hole at Rosecroft at a decent clip, and I'm not afraid to bet horses from the 7, 8, and 9, especially. I'd rather bet a 7, 8, 9 hole than a 1 hole any day in the week.
I have the stats pulled up here from the current meeting at Rosecroft. The 6 hole has the most wins at about 18%. The 5 is second with 16. The 1 post has 10.5%. Followed by
it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was only 8%.
Well, then again, it's a small sample size. Only 294 races.
Right. We don't race 300 days like a lot of tracks do, or we only have 60 days of an entire year. So.
But the 7, 8, and 9 are decently. The 7 has 24, the 8 has 28, the 9 has 18. Those are significant. I bet you if you looked at the Meadows, they're not anywhere close to that. Yeah.
Right, and they got the slant. I believe the Meadows has the slanted gate. So
they do.
It's crazy. A lot of tracks, you got the 9 hole here at Rosecroft. I got it right in front of me now. You have 18 for 201. There's a lot of tracks that are lesser than that. The 8 hole here at Rosecroft, you got 28 out of 268. That's a pretty high percentage.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm wrong about that, but
especially from an outside post the 5 and 6. Those are generally your top winning posts on 5/8, 7/8, and mile tracks.
Correct.
But post 8, that's a pretty incredible stat from post 8.
Right, and that's what I was mentioning earlier. I don't mind betting. I don't mind using top pick selections from that far away. I don't mind it. I know at the track I work at disagree with me about that, but
yeah. If you look at the Meadows, the percentages now obviously it's a higher sample size, but 7, 8, and 9 are 10, 7, and 6 and 6.9%, and the rail is 11 there. So it's a big difference.
Yeah,
it's significant to be sure.
Yeah, I don't want to bet a horse from the rail unless he's 3 seconds the best, or he's just a standout.
Well, we're going to put you on hold here because race number 9 is going to the gate at Western Fair.
All right, sounds good.
That's right.
Were you watching the London tonight?
I have not. I believe it or not, I have been watching Buffalo versus Northern Illinois college football this evening.
I was worried you were going to say
Buffalo.
Buffalo Raceway for a second. I was going, what?
While I was doing this interview here, I think it's like 7 minutes left. Buffalo's up 5 points.
That sounds like a lot of points.
I root for Northern.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, just because I'm from the area.
All right,
Oh, okay.
gate is
Yeah,
rolling.
I played a 5-team parlay tonight. So I used 2 college NFL games this weekend. So we'll see how this goes.
Even money favorite, the 5 friends to the end. Now the second choice to the other even money favorite, Large in Legacy. The 9-2, the 8, Putnam's Fire. 7-1 on Kim's Desire. Field of 4, buckle in. It's excite time. They're off and pacing. Large in Legacy leaving for the top. Kim's Desire inherits the pocket. Putnam's Fire into the turn. Tracked wide competition. Now ranges up to be second. Then Friends to the end. Caps out this quartet. 4.5 lengths off the pace setter. Large in Legacy on the lead. Into the backstretch. While Putnam's Fire sits the pocket tightly on Kelly's helmet. Tracking third, Kim's Desire, the longest shot on the board, only 2.5 lengths from the top. Friends to the end, half in, half out in the rear of the field as the first quarter goes in 29-3, seemingly faster than they have to go. Large in Legacy, nonetheless on the point. Then tracking tightly, Putnam's Fire, still on Kelly's helmet around that turn to the top of the stretch first time. Kim's Desire gaps out a touch now, 2 lengths off the pocket sitter, then still trailing Friends to the end as they are now half-mile bound heading to the final circuit. Large in Legacy unchallenged so far as Putnam's Fire now loosens a touch from the pocket. 1 minute 3/5 the halftime, a 31-second second quarter. Kim's Desire asked to pick up the pace slightly from the back, and Friends to the end now moves outside, moving to the back stretch, chasing Large in Legacy. Large on top here over Putnam's Fire, waiting to make her move. Friends to the end, trying to recoup ground, now up to be third and drawing closer towards the leader to the 3/4 pull as Coulter now pulls with Putnam's Fire. They're 2 in, 2 out, past 3/4 in 130 flat, 29-2 that third panel, a neck advantage for Large in Legacy around that final turn. Putnam's Fire presses the pace setter as Friends to the end begins to tip 3 high, and Kim's Desire's behind the wall, coming towards the top of the lane. Large in Legacy holding control here from Putnam's Fire in between. Friends to the end, trying to lunge to the outside, but Large in Legacy's holding the lead to the line and is going to take it by a length. Kim's Desire snuck up the inside to maybe take second from Friends to the end in that photo with Putnam's Fire. As we were talking about with the scratch of the 1 and the 2 and the 4 and the 7, Large in Legacy inherited the lead, had no pressure, and just won for fun at odds of 3-2. This pick 4 is gonna pay so much. I'm so glad to be alive.
You played small tickets. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
you can only do what they give you. There's nothing. What do you want to do?
I want 6, 3, 5, 8. The unofficial top 4 there. 3-2, 9-1 even money. 5.
I thought 3-2 was quite good value. I know it's a 4-horse race, but this horse figured to get that trip and was getting a massive driver switch. Massive.
I wouldn't say that Tyler Moore weighs that much more than Colin Kelly.
Whatever.
I assume that's what you mean by massive.
The horse had to be used with the scratch of the 1.
Yeah.
That was the key to the entire race. So we all jumped on 5 and 6 there. We're all still alive.
All right. That said, there's
Go back to where's Russ? We'll go back.
one
Russ-
more leg of the London pick 4. Back to the Potomac Pace.
Just
now.
remember, we still have to get through that pick 4 then too.
That's what I was going to say. So the Potomac Pace, Russ, you note Delta winner has the inside draw. However, Western Fame, this was the first thing I noticed on the barn switch to Renee Allard. That, to me, instantly makes me like this horse. But for you, who do you think is the horse to beat?
Oh, Filibuster Hanner is without a doubt the horse to beat in here.
Okay.
He raced super in that race in the TVG last week at Meadowlands, and he had a race against McWicked, and look how that ended up going. And Delta winner raced well, and obviously the bettors are going to bet those two. Rock and Ron's going to get a little play. Western Fame at 4-1. When I looked at that at first, when I looked at it today, I was like, why?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't understand. I just didn't understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought maybe I see the trainer change. It was a private purchase, and Jimmy Tapper's retiring tomorrow, and Renee wanted to have a horse in the race because he really likes coming to Rosecroft, so he wanted to have a horse in the race, and I don't know, because I believe Russell Foster wanted to drive this horse. But the owners decided they wanted to have Corey on instead. But the good thing is Russell Foster ended up getting a drive in the race on Rocket Ron because Yannick, I believe, had some prior commitments at Chester in the afternoon, so he couldn't get there.
Mm-hmm.
So, so it worked out for everybody. So,
well, I'm, looking at this race, I think the big question mark in the race right now is the two duplicated Jim King Jr. and Joanne King. Tim Teacher drives. It's his fourth start in the U.S. He's got a win over at Dover, and he shows he can get around the 5/8 just fine. He doesn't have a lot of gate speed, but he's showing signs of improvement every single week. And how do you gauge a horse like this going to Rosecroft?
The horse is definitely going to like the track. I think the Kings have come over a couple of times this year and raced Wakasashi and raced I think it was Hughes Cruz who raced at Dover yesterday, and this horse is only improving. The horse has 9 wins and 20 starts this year, and like you said, it doesn't have a lot of gate speed, and there's a couple horses that have speed in here, like Western Fame and Rocket Ron and Filibuster Hanover. The horse is gonna sit back and gonna hope to get a check. I don't think the horse is gonna win. I don't even know the horse is gonna hit the Super, quite frankly. The horse can improve for next year. I don't want to say this horse is no good. I think the horse is overmatched. Geez, Joe, the last few weeks has been racing really well. He raced really well 2 weeks ago against Bushwhacker, and last week I thought was an even more impressive mile. In the it says it's fast track, but let's be honest, it was sloppy.
Yeah, it was. I actually had him on top both of those weeks at the Meadowlands, and after that first win 2 starts ago, last week I picked him back on top, and I said, this horse is not losing this race. He was way too sharp last week. He never even turned him loose.
Yeah, he was a gift at 5-2. I hope you ran to your nearest Bank of America because it was stunning to see, say the least. And when I saw duplicated in it 1-2, I just shook my head.
But to kind of put this more into context, and Mike, you can chime in here too. Geez Joe is making a big step up in class here to race against Filibuster, Delta Winner, and Rock and Ron and Western Fame, just to name the horses that he's having to step up to race against. And realistically speaking, does his form really warrant him being a contender against the top level competition?
It's a good question. This is a big step for this horse, and I have never seen this horse in a stake. I don't think I've seen this horse in a stake race, but the first time I saw Geez Joe was on October 29th. I know that's not in your guys' program, but the horse came from I believe the 8-hole, and I think Tower Buter, won the race at 18-1 or something like that. That's the first time I was introduced to Geez Joe, and he did it from way in the back. And obviously this horse can do it either way. It could be on the front, could be on the back. Herb Miller does a nice job with his horses, and Marcus Miller's been driving a lot better the last few seasons. And I believe this is the first time Marcus Miller's ever driven at Rosecroft. So he's gonna have a prior drive in the 7th race with That's My Harley. That horse could possibly win, by the way, as well. But with a guy never been at this racetrack before, could he be conservative? Could he just wing it? I don't know. I think. Let me see who else has not been here before. Well, Trace Teacher was here, I think, last year or the year before. He drove, I think, Wakasashi Hanover 2 years ago. So Marcus Miller is the only driver in here that has never been here before. So but obviously he knows what he's doing. So I'm not worried about that. But Geez Joe, could the horse maybe hit the Super? Sure. But this is a big stepping stone for this horse. If this horse can win or just even get a check, like second, third, fourth, then we'll see what happens with the horse next year. This is a big test for this horse. I don't expect the horse to win, but if he races in the top 3 and 4, I wouldn't be surprised either.
The way, and Mike, you can kind of attest to this too, the way I see the board playing in this race is Filibuster's probably going to be somewhere, he should be somewhere around like even money 6-5 just off his last few races. Delta Winner's close. But Western Fame to me seems like he might be the value of the race if he is around that 4-1 mark, which again,
I don't. That's the thing. I don't think that you're going to get 4-1 because everybody sees what we see.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody bet the lard. This horse is getting Lasix. He likes the smaller tracks. I just, I know he's been 36-1, 16-1, but this is a whole different thing now.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like a lot of the money is going to shift this way. I could see him being 2-1 in the race very easily. Just the way that this board's going to play.
So then
I could see.
Well, fair enough. Western Fair's not really a mile horse. A mile, he likes half-mile tracks.
Mm-hmm.
That's his bread and butter. We
Smaller
see
tracks are better for him for sure.
At other tracks, and I think you're actually gonna. I think they're gonna bet the 4-1. And I think you might actually get more higher than 4-1 Western Fame. I swear on the right. I swear to it.
He's swearing. He's using all the curse words: the F word, the A word, the B word.
I think if the 4's 2-1 in the race, he's worth a bet because this horse has made $1.4 million. He's going to get the front. He's going to control the race. He's been getting dogged by McWicked. There's no McWicked in here to run him down. I don't want anything to do with these overnight horses. Delta Winner's in a bad spot on the rail. And, either you like Western Fame or you don't. If you don't, the race goes through the 4 quite easily. And I'm not exactly breaking any it's not anything clever. But, if you get 2-1, I think you should take it.
Mm-hmm. But how realistic is that?
I agree. I think you're going to get like Ray was saying 6-5 or even money. I think that's where the horse is going to go off. Probably realistically, it'll probably go off 4-5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll see. I'll be very curious to see.
I was definitely being generous in my estimate, but if that's the case, then we all can agree Filibuster Hanover is the most likely winner of this race. I'm going out on a limb with Western Fame as the possible value horse. What horse in this race, and all you guys can chime in on this one, this will be the final point reach. What horse in this race would be a good value play for you to try and beat the favorite? Starting with Russ.
I would probably say Rock and Ron.
Okay.
Because if you can get a 2 behind Filibuster Hanover, and you got the passing lane of Rosecroft, and usually on normal night, the drivers of Rosecroft really don't use the passing lane that much because we're always racing. We're not single file like Yonkers. We're not single file like most tracks.
Mm-hmm.
We're actually racing the entire time. We're not just going a merry-go-round. We're actually doing racing. That's the name of the sport. Am I right?
I think.
Absolutely.
I have to check with the dictionary.
Yeah. If you guys watch racing at Rosecroft every night, I don't get bored with it because I'm seeing guys trying to move. I'm seeing guys 3 wide. I'm seeing the Wild West. I'm seeing goofy stuff, but I love it.
And that's why I'm so attached with Western Fair because they race the same way, and you can attest to that. You watch Western Fair.
Yeah.
That they race that same exact way. There's never a race. I mean, obviously you have a few races here and there where it lines up chalk, and everybody sits. But
I think they can write. I personally think I'm not trying to bash anybody. I think they could write the race just a slight better, and then you would have better prices in the overall picture. You get too many 1-5s up there. That's my only issue.
They've done a better job of it this year, getting different. They kind of changed non-winners of 4,000 to non-winners of 8,000 a couple times, and the non-winners of 10 to non-winners of 15,000. They've been switching classes week in, week out to try to make them more competitive, and they've done a really good job with that recently.
Right, and I just because I love being in their pick 4 with the 15% takeout. That they should do that at Woodbine. They should do that everywhere. I think they should do that at every track at all major racetracks. I mean, Woodbine, in Canada, they give you the free programs and all that stuff.
Yep.
You guys love that. I love it. Mark Anderson loves it. Say, what's up, Mark? And, if Woodbine would just go to 15%, I would bet that track every single night religiously. But Western Fair, I've still bet it on a regular basis. It's just I wish the races were written a little differently. Like you said before, they're trying. But last year, towards the end, they were running too many 1-5, 2-5. People get turned off by that.
Yeah.
And at Rosecroft, you don't see too many 1-9, 2-5, 3-5. We have full fields every single race. I mean, we're not screwing around. We're trying to put the best product out there every single night. I mean, do we have the top? We don't have the. Do we have the top like horses like at Yonkers? No, I'm not even going to pretend that we're anything like that. But are we very competitive? I think we have the most competitive racetrack in the country, in my opinion. That's just what I think.
And that's as a gambler, and I think Ray and Mike can also attest to that. That's what you want as a handy.
Right.
The
polls aren't the best, but we're trying to get more people to come out and watch our races. You guys want action. I think we're giving that out. There's no single file racing, and there's no nonsense. Everybody's out there to win. Even John Gazzaro, he's trying to win.
Oh, if he's trying to win, then everyone is. My last experience with Rosecroft, I was at Mike's. I was betting it because when you're at Mike's, you're legally required to bet racing, or else they have to escort you off the premises. And I bet that I had a lot of money on this 13-1 shot that was flying down the center of the track, and the angle looked like I had it, and then I got second, and then I was sour. I haven't bet Rosecroft since.
Don't we all get sour sometimes?
Well, if you were in my position especially, because that was the money you were going to use to buy your double cheeseburger for breakfast.
Oh, man.
I didn't get to eat that week. It was really unfortunate.
Yeah.
But that's the game we play.
All right, let's move on here.
Well, I was gonna say, Mike, you're with Russ on Rock and Ron. We haven't heard much from Rod.
I am, as far as price goes.
Yeah.
I agree with him completely because the horse has a class edge for sure.
Mm-hmm.
On a lot of these overnight horses. I think the horse race is better in the wintertime. I think the horse race is better on smaller tracks. Like he said, the outside post is not a detriment. This horse could certainly end up in the pocket here. Burke's Barn is very good. And he's going to be, I think, a price because I think the 6 is going to take more money than most people do. And the driver switch also is going to, for the regular, better that's going to show up and look at this race, they're going to look at that as a detriment. I don't, but I think the price is going to be fair enough that you could take a swing.
Rod, how about for you to end things off?
I'm kind of split between Duplicated and Rock and Ron. I think Duplicated is a small track specialist, and he is really coming to form week over week. It's his third time on Lasix. He is stepping up, and he did get beat by G's Joe last time, but that was on the mile track. I think tomorrow we see an even better effort from him. And Rock and Ron is, to me, I guess to all of us, is the logical long shot play here. Not even a long shot. He's the value play here.
Not to me.
Just knowing the horse.
Not to me. I've never been that big a fan of Rock and Ron in this position. I think the race actually sets up more for Western fame, especially if he's the one that gets into the pocket, because that's kind of his MO. That's always been his MO. He's been a pocket sitter, never doing the work until that final quarter of a mile. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. We have to run into the late pick 4 for Saturday at the Meadowlands. So, Russ, hopefully he had time to look at that.
Yep, prepared.
Oh, that's fantastic. That makes 3 of us. So, this pick 4 starts, mind you, there's 4. This pick 4 starts with the 8th race, Saturday, December 1st. Can you believe it's December already? It's like next month's going to be January. How crazy is that? Non-winners of $8,500 in their last 5 starts this first leg. A field of 9 going postward. Traditionally, we start things off with Mike. So, Mike, in this race, it seems like there's 3 horses this race revolves around. I'm curious if you agree with me.
I'm 4 deep. But I'm probably on the same ones you guys are. The 3 Dream Fair Mace has been very good. That race 2 back I thought was excellent. Had no chance last time on the slop, and this horse has won for 11 on an off track. Hopefully gets a fast track, gets Brett Miller back, I think, as a use. The 4 Ponytail Boy comes back from Yonkers. This horse does like this racetrack. Should be a price. Gets Yannick back. I like the post. I think the horse fits in this class, and he's won at higher levels here in the past. The 5 Mind Trip looks like the favorite in the race. Ran into G's Joe last time. We were just talking about that one. Prior to that was against Freaky Feet Pete and Beckham Z-Tam at Hoosier. Those two are obvious stakes monsters. This horse is probably some even money in the race. But, the last couple races are, the horse is finishing, 5th, 8th, so it still has to prove it here. And, so that's why I'm spreading out a little. And then the 9 Century Churchill drops from numbers of 11,000, a little bit lesser types here. And, has a mark of 50-3 at the racetrack. I would imagine is going to sit and try to one punch late, but has enough class that if they go, the horse has a chance. So 3, 4, 5, and 9.
Rod, do those numbers sound good to you?
Pretty close. I'm 3 deep. I'm going to start with the 3 Dreamfair Mesa. Like Mike said, you look 2 and 3 starts back. This one, a win in the second there. That last start, just not really the race for him there in the slop. He doesn't show much in the slop. He's got 11 lifetime races in the mud, 1 win, and that's it. So I didn't expect that much from him in the mud last time. If he gets a fast track, he's a definite player. The 4, I think, needs a trip, but will be right there at the wire with Yannick jumping back on. He hasn't driven this horse for quite a while, but the horse definitely plays here and loves the Meadowlands, so I think is a must-use in this spot. Just needs to find some cover. And then the 5, Mind Trip. Dave Miller jumps on for the Wrens. The horse raced okay last time. He was too far back. That was a tough race. Like Mike pointed out, he was in with G's Joe. No reason this horse can't be right there from this post. Should be following the 4 all the way around, and is likely going to take some money with Dave Miller jumping on as well. So I'm 3, 4, 5 there.
Now, Russ, we'll get to you after this final leg of the pick 4 at London. It's 1:45 to post. Current favorite on the board at 5-2, the 3 Stormy Cash. Second choice then at 7-2, the 2 Stonebridge Guard, and then at 4-1, the 4 Good Eye Hawkeye. I don't even remember talking about
the will pays are not exactly terrible considering what has won.
And those will pays, if we take a look at the will pays section, to the 3, $27. That's actually not that bad for 20 cents.
The 1's 42.
The 6
the
is
2's
75.
36. The 6 is 75.
That's actually not terrible. The fact that the
and Rod,
3
5 to the 8, aren't you at 65?
Yeah, I'm like the 1, 2, 3, and 8.
Yeah, I mean they're not terrible. You're making a little profit there if you played our ticket. I mean my ticket was $10. I think Rod's was 20. Ray's was what, less than 10?
Yeah, 720.
You're left to what, 3, 6 or something?
The 3 and the 6.
So if the 6 wins, 75. You'll take that with 3 favorites winning the first 3 races. I would.
Yeah.
I'm amazed that to the 3 horse who's 7-5 on the morning line, it's paying $27.
But you upset the horse in the third. I know that.
Well,
the 6,
I mentioned the 3. I was leery of the 3 in this race. I actually picked him 4th in my analysis in this race. I don't think he won off a perfect setup last week, and he's not going to get that here.
This is a tough race. I mean, there's no question about it.
We'll see how tough it is, because the wings of the gate are open. And the starter calls.
Look at the board.
What does the board know? I got everything up in this noggin that I need to know.
You better stop with that Christopher Walken crap.
You want to hear my Christopher Walken? You better not ask for it.
Now he's going to call the race like that.
5-2 favorite, the 3 Stormy Cash, 3-1 on the 2 Stonebridge Guard. If there's one thing I have on both of you, it's the element of surprise. This is the nightcap from London approaching the start, and it's away and pacing. Stonebridge Guard shows speed alongside Stormy Cash and Good Eye Hawkeye. They're 4 across to that first turn. Stormy Cash trying to cross over. Stonebridge Guard parks that one out while Ace 44 Don push for position towards the rail. Parked out then to the quarter. Good Eye Hawkeye away from the second tier. 5th, Jim's Great ahead of On the Take 6th. Then back to Sports Tail, Django Sealster. Invitation to Dream struggle struggled to catch the gate, trails this field as now Good Eye Hawkeye marches up towards the leader Stormy Cash to stick a neck in front, but McDonald parks that one out into the far turn first time. Sitting third behind those duelers, Stonebridge Guard, a gap of 3.5 to Ace 44 Don, as now Good Eye Hawkeye makes his way to the cones and to the top of the stretch first time. Good Eye Hawkeye controlling the tempo from Stormy Cash, who angles off the rail for McDonald and is looking to brush back to command of the half-mile pull. Sitting third, Stonebridge Guard encouraged to catch up to these leaders. Outside and moving, Jim's Great into that clubhouse turn and past the half-mile mark. New leader once more, Stormy Cash. He's back on the point from Good Eye Hawkeye. Inside, Stonebridge Guard. Here's Invitation to Dream outside, moving, uncovered to be third, approaching second and marching towards this leader to the 3/4. Sports Tales on cover, second over, now up to be fourth. Alongside, Stonebridge Guard shuffled back towards the rail as they go on to 3/4. On the take is towards the rail with Ace 44 Don, but they have to catch Stormy Cash rounding that final bend. Sports Tail tips 3 high to try and take second from Good Eye Hawkeye, leading the backpack on the take. Angles towards the center of the track too, but they're homeward bound. Stormy Cash holds an advantage here, about 4.5. That advantage is expanding to the line, and it's Stormy Cash nearly coast to coast to take it here in the end. Looked like Invitation to Dream might have been second in a 2:06.1 added distance time.
So was that the 8 or the 9 way back? Because there's no way it was the 9.
That was the 8. That was my fault because it looked like it was the 9 because the horse that was from the second tier was at the inside.
There's going to be an inquiry here on this one too. I mean, that horse was nowhere near the fair start pole.
Yeah.
So that's going to cut this ticket in half.
Well, now I got it twice.
Yay.
3,946. It looks
So instead of $27, I get $31.
No, that was the 2. That was second, I think.
By the way,
3,246.
note for next week, bet the 1, Ace 44 Don.
Yeah,
Well,
no shot.
Because he was total jackpot. No chance.
Yeah, he was locked in the entire way.
Speaking of things that were locked in the entire way, Russ Adams, what do you think of the first leg of that pick 4 at the Meadowlands?
I completely agree with Mike. Word for word.
Oh, really? That makes this easy. Mike's numbers again were
3, 4, 5, and 9.
3, 4, 5, and 9. I, of course, remembered that. I was just testing you. I'm 3 deep in this race. I start with the 1, Still Frisky. I'm surprised no one took this horse. Drops the claiming tag because there's no claiming tag offered in this condition this week. But last out against Jacks Are Lucky 2, left for the top from post 9, sat the pocket there, ended up finishing second in that mile. The start before that, didn't really get a chance to race, was locked behind as Dreamfair Mesa was just blowing that field away. And that mile by Dreamfair Mesa I feel was very circumstantial. While the slop definitely probably didn't help him last out, it also seemed like it might have been a bounce just because coming into this week, I'm not a big fan of him either, especially as the weather's starting to get colder and colder. Still Frisky to me with the post advantage this time around. It looks more appealing, especially with the 10-1 morning line. And the fact that he doesn't look as fast as the other horses, because I don't think times are really going to be as impactful as some people may think, especially as we're now entering December. I also used the 5, Mind Trip. I'm in agreement with you guys on this one. He was chasing G's Joe, and that's basically all you need to know. With this guy, was just behind a much faster mile, so even though he was fifth by 10 lengths, you can't really hold that against him because the competition he was with it's way better. And then the 6 Major Authority I also throw on, moving up in class, finished third, making his move around that final turn as the favorite. Maybe a little bit too early. He got to lead at the top of the stretch, but was out kicked to the wire by Jacks Are Lucky 2 and Still Frisky, or he lost ground, however you want to look at it. Point being, he's moving up in class, and with the right trip, he can kick home as well as the rest of them can, but again, needs the right trip to be able to utilize that. So I'm going to be 156 in the first leg of that pick 4 at the Meadowlands. Move on to the second leg, race number 9. Now we're at 5,000 in the last 5 starts. We got a field of 10 going posted here. Start things off with you, Mike, once more. This race seems a little more concise.
I used 4 here also.
Oh, okay.
I think it's competitive. The 1, Calvin B, comes out of those winners over races at Plain Ridge, and that's one of the top levels there. This horse raced numbers at 12,000 at Pocono. Likes the bigger track. Has a 49-2 life mark here at the Meadowlands. This horse is always right there at this level and draws okay, so I'm all right with him. The 2, Awesomeness. This horse, was racing at the preferred earlier in the year. He's a big closer. He's capable of big miles, and he won 165,000 last year, 85,000 this year. This is the lowest this horse has been in quite a long time. Miller stays on the horse, and I think he's a must use. The 6, Decision Day. This horse was, out of that Float Again race that they made, and finished third. Was decent in there. Kicked 27-2. I like the move to the big track. The horse improved. I think that the horse, if can get a trip in here, can maybe pick a few off. And then the 8, Quality Bud, another one that likes this racetrack, another that raced in that same race last time and again improved. This horse will be closer. Whenever he is closer, he definitely has a chance. And a lot of these horses that I do like are closers in the race, so he does have a little bit of a pace advantage. 1, 2, 6, 8.
Once again, Rod, do those numbers sound good to you?
A couple of them do. The 1, Calvin B, ships over. We know he likes the Meadowlands. He's won here plenty of times in the past, and he gets the rail. So I think he's going to get away up close. He doesn't flash a ton of gate speed, but he's got enough to get away close and be able to work out a nice trip from the rail. And Mitch Cushing, he kind of started slow. He seems to be finding his way at the Meadowlands as well. So I think you're going to get an okay price on him tomorrow. 2, Awesomeness. Dave Miller stays on, like Mike said. He draws inside, so he's going to be close. He's flashed gate speed here and there. I think he fits well in this race, and he's tough to leave off the ticket. I think he's probably going to be your favorite. And then the 7, Jupiter Johnny. I throw this one on for the Butters, and Tyler Buter jumps off. Brett Miller jumps on to drive. Last week, he got brutalized early, 27 and change first quarter. He got parked and ended up having to go to the half in 55 and a piece, 3 quarters and 123 and change. That was a tough race coming off of a couple-week layoff there from Pocono and a complete change of tactics in that race. I think he just got tired. I expect him to race equally as good, but even improved a little bit, and he gets Brett Miller. So I think Brett can kind of do what he wants with this horse. He's probably a little bit better off the pace, but I didn't expect him to leave last week, and he did. But coming off that race, I think he plays big time in here, and he's going to be great value. So 1, 2, and 7.
Couldn't have said that in less words, Rod. Russ, what do you see?
Yes.
What do you see?
I like Quality Bud in the race.
Oh, just Quality Bud?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, okay.
Well, I know you get Dubé off this week, and you get Avatel on. That doesn't discourage me too much. And the horse has been. I know the horse was 8th and 5th the last couple of weeks, but the horse hasn't really discouraged me from betting this horse again. And he was racing against Roger Mockham and Floyd again. And when I look at this field, I see a bunch of horses that can't finish. The 1 and 2. Jimmy Nickerson and Mark Ford are combined 0 for 29. That just turns me off quick. And then I see Grand Theft, who's been burning more money than Buffalo just cost the game. By the way, they just lost the game.
I would have said a bank on fire, but that works too.
You can probably tell in my voice I'm not very happy right now, but. And I know there's going to be money going to be taken with Decision Day with Corey Callahan and Bruce Saunders, and remember 3-year-old versus older. I'm not feeling that too much. So Quality Bud, you might actually get a price on despite him dropping in class a little bit. So there you go. That's what I think of that race.
I like the fact that you're going out on a limb, because I've been so domesticated that I no longer can do that. I'm 3 deep in this race. I've never been a fan of Calvin B at this age. I feel like his best days are behind him, even though he's at this numbers of $5,000 level. He's tricked me too many times on this circuit that I'm not going to fall for it again. This horse usually comes home in about 28 or 29 seconds, and that's not going to win him this race. I start with Awesomeness dropping in class. Hopefully, moving back to the fast track will be what he needs. This horse has a big class advantage on this field. The only difference here is that he's not against horses like G's Joe, Burkentine, Hanover, Dragon Time, who are on the upper end of the class ladder on this circuit at the Meadowlands. I also use the 3, Tyre Shoehead, who also exited that foiled again race. He kicked him in 27-1 to finish 5th there off cover. Start before that, beat the bottom level pretty handily off a pocket trip. This one is another one that if the circumstances arise for him, I could definitely see being involved at a possible long shot factor. That didn't make sense, but we're nearing the end of the show. The 6th Decision Day is the final horse I use. Russ was talking about this one. Him being a 3-year-old doesn't necessarily bother me since it's towards the end of the season. He raced decently last out to finish third, was third to Quality Bud, mind you. In that race, Roger Mockham won. In that race, where foiled again, was 4th. And as another one that's most likely going to try and stalk the pace, get a trip, and kick home late. The question is going to be whether or not his late kick is going to be good enough to pass the rest of the horses, which on a fast track, who knows? It could be. I'm 2-3-6 in the second leg of that pick 4. Third leg is the 10th race. Bottom level pacing event. Numbers at 3,500 their last 5 starts. Another field of 10 going postward here. And Mike, I felt that this was a competitive race because it's so hard to find a horse that knows how to walk.
It's pretty tough. So I just kind of went with a few angles. 3 deep, the 1, Legion of Boom, get Gionic. That's really all you need to know there, even though he looks awful on paper. Draws well, get Gionic. Using him, the 9, Brookie's Prince. This horse at least is getting checks. Raced better last time against More Dragon, Grand Theft. That was a decent race. It's Osceola. I certainly like him on anything. And, this horse is racing much better than most of these. And then the 10, Indy Ingot, drops from numbers of 5,000. Coming out of fast miles, he tends to be a closer. That race 3 back was decent at Yonkers first up. Really no chance. That was numbers of 11,000. These horses are just way lesser types than this horse has been facing. So just impossible to leave off. 1, 9, 10.
Now, it's interesting, Mike, as you're taking some outside horses. I'm more inside. I'm curious if Rod is too.
Actually on the same 3 horses that Mike is on, the 1, 9, and 10. The 1, like Mike said, Yannick jumps on. He's got the rail. You don't need to see anything else there. That's the only reason I'm using the horse. The 9, Brookie's Prince, comes off a pretty good race last time. I like that effort there in the mud. Another one, he fits, but he's very curious. I'm not convinced that he can get there, especially at a short price. The 10, Indy Ingot. Brett Miller jumps back on this horse. On the class up, I think he's a must-use and no reason to leave him off, even from the outside post, because he doesn't really flash any gate speed anyways. His game is coming from off the pace, so 1, 9, 10.
Now you're going to be telling me, Russ, is you're on the exact same 3 horses also.
I'm single here. I'm singled again.
Thank God.
I'm singling the 9 because I've been all over this horse the last couple of weeks.
Okay.
I bet this 2 weeks ago. It just was flat. And, obviously he was second over and just didn't do nothing. I mean, still came home in 28. That's not bad. And then last week, he had an even better trip and just, in the stretch, I think he just got tired at the end. But this is obviously with the slop and everything. Last chance for Brookie's Prince in. I'm singling this horse in the pick 4. I'm singling Quality Bud. I'm going to use a 4 deep in the first part. So the ticket should be pretty cheap. I might even play this ticket for $5. That's how confident I feel about it.
And if Brookie's Prince does not go through this time, then Carmen Ociel can expect some angry letters, I assume.
I'll bet Keith Toro next week if I
wherever Keith Toro might be. I think he's with his cousin Zorro. I'm too deep in this race. I don't know what that meant. I'm too deep here.
I watched that Zorro movie 10 times if that horse wins.
That Zorro movie. You don't know which Zorro movie I'm talking about. There's like 30 of them, and I think 5 have Johnny Depp.
Or I'll just watch Huron do his little Z.
Just put it on repeat.
I feel like that one's harder to watch. I'm too deep here.
I have like bobby pins on my eyes, so I can't blink.
Yes, you're a natural, Clockwork Orange. I agree with Mike on Legion of Boom. This horse may, then I guess Rod too. I also like the post switch. Then second start off the layoff. Those angles usually mean something. But I also use the 3, Frank and Joanne. That's the second horse I use. This gelding's raced well at the Meadowlands in the past, specifically towards his bottom level. But he also has not. He's had a tendency to take a lot of money and then not necessarily follow through. However, his last couple of starts show that maybe he's in decent enough form where perhaps the inside draw, the potential forward positioning could be enough to get this horse into the race and make him enough of a contender in the stretch drive to potentially win. Pardon?
It's a nice driver change, though.
From Joe Haney to Corey Callahan. Yeah, I love drivers with longer names. That's a big angle I go for.
Yeah. I was at Freehold last Saturday and saw that race. He had the 8-hole and just went around the track. And try to get it back.
But was gaining ground at the end, and that's what I really like off that 8-hole race. Now to post 3. So I'm 1-3 in that third leg. Final leg's the 11th. $10,000 claimer. Mike, how do you end it?
Pretty deep. I like a couple prices in here. The 2A and C Artist. This horse likes big track. I've been racing at Pocono and Plain Ridge and getting checks, racing well. This horse used to be a Mohawk horse and was good on the bigger track. I like the draw. I like David Miller and 8-1 morning line. You could do a lot worse than that. The 5, Mixito. This horse was decent last time at a big price. Now it gets Yannick. I would expect a front end type, effort. And the horse, obviously has a lot of starts. 141 starts just for a 6-year-old. This horse is going 40 times a year. But right now is in decent form. And I think can follow up that last race with another decent one. And then the 7, who's obvious, Cheyenne Raider. This horse a 9-year-old, but has made 400,000. Is very fast. They went to Monticello and got an okay check there. But if you look back, early November, this horse was racing extremely well at the big track, and I think that's what he prefers. Has a big class edge on a lot of these. So 2.57 to finish.
Rod.
Rock on the Hill's lifetime mark is at Rosecroft, by the way. You guys see that?
Yeah, I just did see that, actually. I didn't see it earlier.
Why are you plugging your employer?
The horse and Frank drove it all the time. Just throw a little nugget out there for you fans out there.
So if you don't use this horse, Russ, I'm going to go to your house.
Oh, no. It's unknown.
From what I hear, he lives in the starting car.
I'm 4 deep here. The 1 Bay Rum. I love this horse in this spot. Inside post, comes back to the Meadowlands. You go back 2 and 3 starts back. A win in a second. Similar level. Went over to Freehold. Didn't fare that well. Just fired early and got tired. I excused that race. And this horse is a Meadowlands horse through and through. From the rail, he's going to be sitting right up close. Might even be able to get the 2-hole trip. Must use for me. The 6 pumped up kicks. First over last week. That's not really his type of game. He drops in class. Well, it's same class. Last week was a handicap. But that's a little bit of a tougher race because you got some 12, 5, and 15 claimers in there that are a little tougher than these are.
That horse also won a Rosecroft in a dead heat earlier this meet as well.
Yeah, so this horse, he's good enough. He needs a trip. That's the key with this horse. But I think he's going to be able to get one from this spot. The 7 Cheyenne Raider, whatever. He's coming off a good second. He got a good trip there. But Mike Merton jumps on the ship over from Monticello. you go back to his Meadowlands lines where he faced similar, and he has 2 wins his last 2 starts at the Meadowlands. He is better on the bigger tracks. He fits well here. He should be able to get a nice trip. I think he's probably going to take a bit of money, but he's a must-use. And then the 9, 4 Staces is Scotty Domenico. First start in his barn. That alone is enough for me to play the horse. I don't care what post he has. I don't care what class it is. This horse is a play. First start for Scotty D. And that's my 4 there, 1, 6, 7, 9.
All right, Russ, you singled the last 2. You got a single in the last.
No, I can't do that.
Oh, okay.
That's not how I roll. But I'll go through this real quick. I got a couple things I want to say about Rosecroft Sunday activities. I know some of you guys would like to hear that. And in this race here, really quick, I like the 9 on tops, 4 Staces. Scott D. Domenico is, first time, like Rob was saying. And I see the Stinger, Michael Lusing, drove the horse the last few times. I know Rod probably, I believe, raced against him, I'm sure, many times over the years. And
lost to him a lot also, but
in the Indy Mill, that's pretty good confidence for me. I mean, I could single him, but we don't know. I mean, he raced good at Hoosier. Will he like Meadowlands? I don't know, but the horse is a winner. And the other horses I like the 5 Magzito, Yannick, and Julia Zerman Jr. I don't know who that trainer is, but it looks like the horse is likes to get checks, but it doesn't hurt getting McCarthy off and getting Yannick on. The horse is going to have to get a 2 or 3 hole trip and just hope for room. And then the 7 horse Shining Raider, tough horse used to race up at Woodbine, honest horse. You're always going to get a good effort out of that horse. Not always going to win every week, but Michael Merton, he'll put your horse in the race. He won 2 times in October, November. And I think this is equally. I think the field's a little weaker, I think, than those 2 races. So maybe I'm thinking it's 9, 7, 5, and I think those are the 3 horses I'm going to use. I'm going to use 3, 4, 5, 9 in the first part. I'm going to do a single Quality Butt in the second leg. I'm going to single to 9 in the third leg, and I'm going to go 5, 7, 9 in the final leg. And real quick, if I have time permitting, we have a $2,500 pick 5 guarantee on races 7 through 11 on Sunday night, 12% takeout.
Ooh.
We have a $600 carryover. We're just going to guarantee it to $2,500. Also, at Foiled Again, we'll be racing in the 3rd race and from post 9. And after the 6th or 7th race, Foiled Again is going to come onto the clubhouse area, like right in front of the winner's circle, and then going to take pictures with fans, all that. And also, driver autographs are going to happen after the 7th or 8th race, a couple races before the main race. And if you come to the racetrack on Sunday, and hopefully everybody that's listening shows up, when you buy a program and you'll get like a poker chip or something like that. You take it over and you get a fleece pullover, and I'll show you guys a photo of it after here. And
you're saying we get fleece pullovers, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be one of those fleece pullovers. I got mine a couple weeks ago, and it's fabulous. I'm gonna be wearing it on Sunday. If you guys see me, say hello. I'll send you pics after we get off of here, and it'll be, it's gonna be wonderful. And I think we're gonna have a great day of racing, and hopefully we see a track record. I don't expect to see one, but I think we're going to have a great race, and hopefully, and I'll give you my top 4 while I'm here. I like 4, 8, 1, 7 in the race, and also for a little upset special, I went against Foiled Again in race 3.
Thank God.
I had to, because my handicapping mentality will not allow me to pick a favorite like that.
No.
I like prices. The fans love it. The people love it. I'm going to go a Real Flight in the 3rd race with John Wagner and Jody Dunning. And the horse has been racing really well. I think the horse is going to come off the pace like he did the last 2 weeks. And the other horses in there, Arts Blaze has been racing good. Loren Hanover was at one time 0 for 110. Haven't won a race in 5 years. He's won 6 out of 35 races this year. That's pretty impressive, despite losing 110 in a row at one time.
Yeah. Who's paying the fee, though, when you lose 110 in a row? I want to know.
Meadowlands will likely be involved as well. And in that race, I like 4982. But over to you, Ray, and to enter your pick 4.
Then my pick 4. These people watching know how I handicap. I'm just going to say I'm 1, 2, 3 in the last leg. You can figure out why. You know what I like. It's like I'm married to you. And I want a divorce soon. Here's my pick 4. For 50 cents, I'm 156 with 236 with 13 with 123. That's a $27 ticket for 50 cents. Mike, your ticket.
3459 with 1268 with 1910 with 257 at 72.
And Rod.
345 with 127 with 1910 with 1679. It's $54.
And that does it for another edition of North American Harness Update. We want to thank Russ Adams, who I'm trying to thank right now, but he had something to say, and I couldn't hear him talking. But thank you, Russ, for coming on to the show, talking about the Potomac Pace, promoting the card at Rosecroft Raceway for Sunday, December 2nd. First race post time, 4:40 p.m. Eastern Standard. So if you're in the Central Time Zone, that's 3:40. The Mountain, 2:40. Pacific, I don't know why you'd be, but 1:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Potomac Pace card over at Rosecroft Raceway. Thanks again to Russ Adams. I've been Ray Cotolo. They're Mike Pribozie and Rod Allums Jr. I'm out next week. They'll do whatever they do when I'm not here. Hopefully it's say bad things about me, because that's what I'd do if I wasn't here. And until next time on North American Harness Update, may all of your back cracks be ones that feel good.